failed in his revolutionary endeavor, Ripoll was very intent on demonstrating that the way that Martí was overcome at the end of his career, and then during his legacy in the 20th century, that was in fact the result of a betrayal of Martí's ideals. And his position regarding, for example, a complex issue like the reformist trend in Cuban revolutionary thought or independent nationalist thought at the end of the 19th century, and his the idea that the autonomistas, for example, had been a viable alternative to the kind of radical revolution that Martí proposed, all of that was outrightly rejected by Ripoll. Therefore, what we have is a complex issue. On the one hand, Martí was not a Marxist, but he was a radical revolutionary. On the one hand, Martí was not a socialist, but Martí was very interested in pursuing a revolution after the War of Independence. In other words, there were no easy political solutions that Ripoll was advocating, but on the contrary, was asking us to think through these issues and to be very, very careful about the facts regarding Cuban history and the way that Cuban history was being manipulated by both the Cuban regime and certain uninformed adversaries, let's say, in the Cuban exile community or people abroad. I'm approaching very fast then the issue of Ripoll's legacy. And I think that I have hinted at what I mean by that when I mentioned the whole idea of Martí's, of Ripoll's, the fear of Ripoll in institutions like the Centro de Estudios Martianos and in other interpretive circles. The idea that Martí can be manipulated so easily by politicians, by ideological groups, is something that worried Ripoll a lot, because that was a way of simply dismissing the facts. So therefore, what we are, I think the challenge that we are faced with, those of us who do care about Martí and who do care about serious research, the challenge is to go back to these facts. In the last 2 days, I have gone through 25 boxes full of documents that Ripoll has accumulated. Each one of those boxes must contain at least 2,000 pieces of documents, letters, writings, unpublished, some of them well known because he published them. I think this is an amazing opportunity for researchers, both in Cuba and abroad, to really work with the facts. And during this week that I will be here, I'll also have the opportunity to look through his amazing library. The printout of the catalog of Carlos Ripoll's library is over 1,000 pages long. So we're talking about some works that are that cannot be obtained anywhere anywhere else in the United States, and quite possibly are not available in Cuba. So I urge very much the Cuban Research Institute, Florida International University, to make this collection and this treasure known. And I also urge donors to give money to allow people like me to use this collection and perhaps invite me back so I can keep using it. So the challenge is there. I think that there is a legacy that has to be acknowledged and that has to be appropriated, and there is an institutional responsibility that needs to be recognized. But I come to the last part of the very last part, or perhaps the postscript of my presentation, which has to do with this document. Before Ripoll passed away, and after one of those sessions where we spent endless hours discussing issues, or some of them minor but still important, regarding Martí and his own work, he bitterly recalled the times when he had found and published documents or letters of Martí, had not only found them, had published them, had also published books about those documents themselves, and yet no sooner had he made them available and public in Cuba, and particularly in the Centro de Estudios Martianos, what they would do is steal, there's no other word, steal that research, publish it, and never mention his name. And I said, that's amazing. And how many times has that happened? And he said, oh, very many times. I said, I need to know this. I want you to make me a list, because I don't know about this. He said, well, it doesn't matter. Well, about 3 days later, I got this document. And it's an amazing document. And it's a letter addressed to me. And it provides a list of the times when he was gypped, literally plagiarized by another government and another institution. And I'll just read the beginning and the end. Hurtos y plagios de los investigadores martianos de Cuba, de materiales descubiertos y publicados por Carlos Ripoll y otros que han sido ignorados. Esto es lo que recuerda Ripoll en este día 2 de agosto de 1997. Notice that there's a kind of legal language being invoked here. En el que facilitó detalles sobre tales asuntos a petición de su amigo y colega Enrico Mario Santí. And then he goes on. 2 crónicas en The Sun de Nueva York, 18 escritos de Martí en el periódico Patria, un poema de Martí, una carta desconocida de José Martí, 2 cartas inéditas de José Martí, Martí, una carta desconocida y un destinatario olvidado. All of these are the kinds of things that he found over 30 years of research, and all of them plagiarized.
With whose money did he do all that? His own money?
Excuse me?
He did all that with his own money?
And he did that with his own money. He never had any, that I know of, any. Well, he had a National Endowment for the Humanities fellowship, but very early on. And then he says at the end, de los datos y documentos que ha publicado Ripoll para enriquecer la biografía de Martí, de los estudios relacionados con la obra escrita de Martí y de sus otros trabajos sobre estos asuntos, Ripoll se niega a hablar porque le parece primero una falta de modestia darle atención a sus cosas y hacer inventario de ellas, y segundo, porque en estos recuentos le duele
lo que se han ignorado sus 30 años de estudio e investigación martiana, no tanto en Cuba, donde toda razón tienen para considerarlo enemigo del gobierno y de sus esbirros intelectuales, sino por sus propios hermanos en el exilio. Those are his words, not mine. Pero por dolorosa que sea esa ingratitud, con la esperanza de servir al futuro de su patria, movido por el desprendimiento de Martí y por una amable deuda con las pocas almas buenas que lo han ayudado en el camino, Ripoll sabe que no ha arado en el mar y seguirá trabajando mientras tenga fuerzas para ello con el mismo fervor que hasta hoy ha tenido. Now, you probably are saying, well, how come you're bringing this on? Well, as I was preparing to come enjoy my Cristóbal Díaz Ayala travel grant, I started looking through my stuff and then I found this. I said, oh my God, this is something that I'm going to donate to the special collections on Carlos Ripoll, to the library. So I'm here donating it to the special collections here at the library. But I got too much ahead of myself. Because yesterday, as I was working through the special collections, I found on box, forget what the number is, but one of the boxes, file 17, notas y documentos desconocidos, I found this stuff. So what does that mean? Was this for me? No. It was there because he wanted somebody to find it. Which makes it even more valuable because it wasn't a personal thing. Now it's part of our knowledge. It's part of this institution, it's part of the collections, and it's part of the challenge that I think rests in our hands in making this collection